cool. So before I actually grill them, I'll start off with some softer questions, I guess. So for the Arm & Hammer team, I guess what's your favorite part about working at Church Dwight? And then a little bit more unique from the Hero side, being acquired by an S&P 500 company. Is there anything that's been surprising working at Church Dwight?
I'll start. So I've been here a bit, I like to say, and one of the things that really attracted me to Church Dwight was the notion that I can make a difference. In a relatively smaller company within the CPG space, so everybody really is important and you can make a difference. And so I noticed that, and that was the primary reason why I came here. Where's James, if he's still here? I came from General Mills in Minneapolis. And so this was a very different audience, different company, and it still is today, right? So we're a 175-year-old company, and every single body does make a difference. And so you see your impact on company performance. You see your impact when our executives are presenting quarterly results. You see your team's impact, and I think that's really motivating. And you can also really understand how a business works. So that has stayed true for my bit of time here, and I think it's really a great selling point for Church Dwight.
All right, so I'll tackle this from the Hero side. So from the Hero side, I mean, it's just been absolutely amazing to be a part of Church Dwight family. Here's all this super small company. We're only 6 years old. Lots of room to grow, clearly, for the brand, which is really exciting. But to go from this small independent brand to now be part of this much larger family has honestly been a fantastic experience. I've spent my career across both, large and small companies, global, local companies, and I have to say this truly is a family environment that we have here. And I believe the whole Hero team would agree with me. We really have been welcomed into this organization with open arms, and the level of support and the level of respect and the level of knowledge sharing that's been going on has really been incredible. And you don't always see that when sort of the small and the big, if you will, come together. So I really do think this has been an ideal home for the brand to come into, and we are super excited to be around for another 169 years.
I mean, it is pretty crazy. Rarely do you hear a brand say we've been around and relevant for 170 plus years. So I guess for Arm & Hammer, how has the brand managed to maintain that relevance and continue to connect with consumers? And then on the flip side, Hero, which is only 6 years old, although already the #1 beauty product on Amazon, how do they connect differently with consumers versus Arm & Hammer, who's been around for so long?
Let's start out. So for Arm & Hammer, the master brand, again, we talk about that being around 175 years, and coming onto this business was very interesting because I had worked previously in a lot of personal care brands, health and wellness, and hygiene, and all those areas. They're very consumer, emotionally charged businesses. That was something that was really important to me to maintain in the career. So when I came over to this business, I was excited. I got to work with Kim and Hay and many of the great marketers, and Melissa, of course. And I was happy to go into our CEO and CMO time and say, just 2 months in, this business and this brand is emotionally charged. Consumers got a pulse. They're excited about this brand. This is not a sleepy category, Arm & Hammer laundry. People are really emotional. You just gotta find the emotion, right? So I think that was exciting for me, and we've had a lot of fun as a whole team exploring that territory. And so if we think about relevancy for our brand, in the past, let's say 6 months, Arm & Hammer Laundry has become the #1 engagement and the #1 follow brand among major competitors on TikTok. So we've really taken advantage of the platforms that are connecting with consumers, and when we can show more of that emotion and deliver on the brand identity, it works really, really well. So I think with Heroes we talked about, it's really about life stage, right? We're both playing in the upper and lower funnel marketing tactics, but again, we talked about the 175 years versus the 6 years old. So I think in terms of, as we're kind of diverging and converging, we saw a lot of similarities when we sat and talked about this together.
Yeah, this was a really interesting conversation as we were preparing for the panel. When you think about, okay, you have this much older brand, goodness, it must be like so difficult. How do you sort of, this is my perspective coming in, right? How difficult it must be to really make those relevant connections. And as we were talking about, well, this is what we do, and we're born digital, and it just comes naturally to us to be in these channels. We actually realize there are a lot of similarities. We are using a lot of the same tactics. We are trying to make sure that we're showing up where our consumers are in the relevant moment with the relevant messaging that they're looking for. The difference really does come down to scale, right? Awareness of detergent, super high. Acne products, like acne as a category, household penetration is only 23%. And if you take it down to acne patches, where we really predominantly play, that's 6%. We're not even there yet, right? So there's so much room for us to grow and build share and just build those connections. But at the same time, there's still so much room for Arm & Hammer to continue to do that as well. So the awareness, the penetration, that's a little bit different. We've started more lower funnel tactics and are now starting to add on to the higher funnel tactics and just see how we can have some fun there.
Yeah, I'm going to add one more thing here. It was talked about a little bit earlier about being culturally curious. So even for a 175-year-old brand, we have to be into today's times, right? And as Amy said, it's really important on how we show up. So we're showing up at the right time, with the right message, on the right platform. And we're doing a lot of test and learns. We have a very sizable budget on Arm & Hammer. I think it's the largest in the company. But we are still doing tests and learns because the consumer is evolving, the technology is evolving. So we're not being stagnant, we're not being complacent. We have to still be on the cutting edge of how consumers are consuming their messages. And that's, I think, super critical in staying relevant in the consumer's mind.
Cool. And just to take it a step further, I think a lot of people would say that the hero brand is this challenger brand, whereas Arm & Hammer's the exact opposite. I guess, what is your approach to the marketplace from hero as a challenger brand, and then vice versa on Arm & Hammer? How are you fending off these challenger brands?
So here's the thing. I don't think hero is a challenger brand. I've never framed it in my head as us being a challenger brand. We just got out there, right? We saw a really interesting business opportunity, and we went for it, and we owned it, and we won, and we kept going, and we kept going, and kept going, and all of a sudden, now we're looking up and going, oh, look at us versus some of our competitors in this space. I don't think we set out to say, hey, Neutrogena, Clearasil, we're coming for you. That wasn't it. It really was, here's a problem the consumer has, we have a solution that we think works better than other things in the marketplace, let's go see what we can do. All of a sudden, yeah, we're now in these same conversations, but it's certainly, we didn't set out to be a challenger brand. I feel that word comes around in a similar way, like you hear about categories being disrupted and things like that. The people that use those words are the ones, the people who use those words are the ones who are actually being disrupted or being challenged, right? That's how they put you in a box. But we didn't do that. That's certainly not how we see ourselves, and it's certainly not how we behave. We choose to behave what's best for us, what's best for the business, what's best for our consumer, and that's how we frame it up.
So this is where Amy and I have a duel-off. And so surprisingly, here we go, is that we, Arm & Hammer Laundry, which again, laundry, 90% penetration. Our brand has only 27% penetration, so a lot to go. We see ourselves actually as a challenger brand. We're up against the biggest dogs in the category who've got budgets that well surpass anything that we could even consider. And we are going and we are winning in these spaces. And in fact, in the past year, we continue to be the fastest growing brand in the laundry category, which is just amazing, and we're happy about that. And in addition, we hit 2 record quarters in the past year for the business. So that's really exciting. We have ambitions as a business that's much larger than the size of our brand. So we really go bold, we have an excellent team, cross-functionally, digital, marketing, creative services, and more, and our great agency partners to help us win against these big ambitions we have for the brand.
Pretty
Cool.
passionate about that one.
Yeah, it's a nice duel off. And I know, like, a lot of these brand innovators conferences, or, you know, digital transformation, just as a term, is a popular term. I guess from your guys' perspective, we all feel the pressure. So how do you embrace digital transformation? Is there any technology or platforms that you're utilizing to connect with the consumers in today's age?
I'll go first. I mean, this is an interesting one for us because we were born digital. So I don't know that there was a transformation per se that our team or our brand had to go through. But it is very true that we are constantly looking and paying attention, close attention to what's happening in the space, what tools are being leveraged, how we can continue to tap into them, learn from them, build on them, et cetera. We talk about test and learn. Test and learn has come up all day, right? Like we say all the time. But it's so true, and I think that's something that you need to take to anything that you're going to go do, whether it's an old tactic that you're bringing back in or something new that you're going to go and try. And I think that's a big piece of the digital transformation piece, right? So for us at Hero, that's sort of the mentality we've adopted. We test, learn, scale, over and over and over again. And I think that's just how you stay relevant. Again, going back to how to be relevant, like you just have to keep going along with it all the time. You got to be a part of the transformation.
Sure.
So, we definitely are going through the transformation, although 60% plus of our budget is digital, so I feel like we're there with it. We've also talked about upper and lower funnel, right? And so there are obviously some mediums that are working better for us, upper funnel versus lower funnel. And I would say with Survey's leadership here as an organization, we are certainly evolving more into this digital transformation, you know, upskilling everyone's knowledge set in this space. Critically important, our expansion of our digital partners, you know, we're gaining more ground in that area as well. So we are going through that transformation, but again, it comes back to being relevant, right? They have to be where our consumers are, and this is where they're showing up.
Sure, and I imagine acquiring digitally savvy brands is also helpful to have in the
Yeah,
building.
let me speak to that. So, believe me, the number of times we get requests, have you met with the Hero team? The Hero team knows it all. But they do, right? As Amy said, they're digitally native, so we're absolutely learning from the skill sets that they've brought to the organization. But we do that with all our acquisitions, quite honestly. We learn from what they were doing really well, and how can we quickly adapt to some of their practices, so yeah.
But to build on that, with the flip for us too, right? We're just getting into digital video and TV-like environments, right? So this is new for us. We can talk Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. We can talk about that stuff all day long. But when we're starting to talk about other mediums, that's where we're really looking for some of these other brands who have more experience, who have been more established, who have played in this space to help us. So there really is this amazing learning that can come from bringing these different brands in these different life stages together as part of one larger organization.
Very cool. Seems like a very productive dynamic between the two. And out of to the fun part, I guess starting with Hero first, can you share any relevant or recent campaigns that have demonstrated how Hero connects with the present and evolving consumer, and then we'll do Arm & Hammer after that.
We're always doing fun things, right? We have a really great campaign that we have just launched that the team and I are just so absolutely proud of. If you haven't heard about it, it's called Pimple, Eat Your Mighty Patch. And basically this stemmed from this idea that, you know, pimples are kind of this uninvited guest that just pops up on your face at the most inconvenient moment, right? But pimples are part of life, and you just gotta kind of roll with it. And historically, there's been this stigma around pimples. It's something to be afraid of. It's something that you gotta quickly get rid of. And that's just not how we show up as a brand. We're sort of like, acne is a part of life, and you gotta live with it, and it's nothing you should be ashamed of. but it's also not something you need to put up with either. So there's things you can do, and voila, the mighty patch. So the idea behind this concept is we basically personified the zit. The zit, the zit is that uninvited guest that just pops up, and you just need to deal with it and move on and live your life. So that was the idea. We really wanted to do something that was going to cut through, have a little bit of humor, and really create that aha moment. I know how to use this, I know where to use this, I know why, and brought to you by Hero. So that's our campaign. It has just launched about a month and a half ago. We are seeing some really incredible results. Barry, stay tuned for an additional media
Yeah,
ask
I'm sure.
shortly.
It's sold right now.
But it's really off to a great start, and this is our first national campaign that we've ever done for the brand, so big times for us.
Amazing. And did we want to?
Play the video.
Yeah, do we want to play the video?
Yeah.
That's great. I also think, it's humorous, but it's, as you said, it's also in tune with the social conversation. Acne is a part of life. Let's have fun with it and be humorous. And I guess for Arm & Hammer,
So I think, again, emotionally charged. So for Arm & Hammer, we were hitting at a right moment. And when you think about consumer sentiment with the recessionary times that we've all seen, high inflation, consumers were feeling it more than ever. In fact, over 90% were saying they feel anxious and overwhelmed with inflation hikes. And we take a further look at that stats, 53% of consumers were saying they have to buy different products because money is getting so tight for them. And then furthermore, which is a big opportunity, 46% said that they are changing, going to different brands during this economic downturn, which while that opens up a big opportunity for Arm & Hammer to come in. We're the brand that's there for the consumer, really when they're most outstretched and they're really having a difficult time getting through these times, that we will help to help them get through that, restore their power as they're feeling a bit out of control at those times. And we had tested 2 different campaigns, and the one that tested the best and really fell into this moment, and we'll talk more about the KPIs, have been phenomenal, is called, we call it Give It the Hammer. You can see a little bit on that. And you'll also see today, as you look around this, we have highly diverse talent that we always work with, very much on brand, really hitting across the home. And in our master brand, which is exciting, we do have 95% awareness. So we are in more aisles in the store, Arm & Hammer Master Brand, than any other brand. So you'll get to see just a few of these today, and the large campaign that comes after this, including over 20 pieces of influencer and branded created social content that have tested off the charts as well. So play the video.
very cool. And I'm not sure who's playing the video, but thank you. And then I guess, yeah, if you wanted to talk a little bit about those KPIs, or if you want to walk us through, I guess, behind the scenes of those concepts and how did it come to life, we can start with Arm & Hammer since we just saw it, and then any particular challenges that you faced along the way.
So Laurie's on top of the facts. I'll let her tell you the KPIs, but I'll give you a little bit behind the scenes. So as Barry likes to say, this started out just as a conversation in the cafeteria. It was really a napkin sketch, literally, and then he gave it to us to go figure it out. So we figured it out. And I mean, we overwhelmed him, quite honestly, with the scope of this campaign. It was obviously targeting the consumer because we had the right brand at the right time. The consumer sentiment so closely aligned with what we stand for. But we also then are bringing it to our employees, right? We've created employee content where they can participate in showing how they're giving it the hammer every single day. And then we also brought it to our analysts. So the Q1 or Q4 analyst meeting that was held at Wall Street, we brought it to life there. Some of the props you see here in this room are brought to life there, and great accolades from the analysts about this campaign too. But more so, again, as Laurie mentioned previously, our share really continues to drive. Yes, we're in a moment, we're capitalizing on it, but we're really bringing this brand, again, back to relevancy. We are here to help consumers win their everyday challenges, right? We're not over-promising what our brands can do. It's just these everyday challenges. They can rely on a dependable brand, and I hope you saw that come through on this creative. So KPIs, Laurie?
Yes, so I'm excited to share. So we have on our CPM 1.6 times the benchmark on CPM coming out of this campaign. We also have, with all those pieces that I told you about, the 20 pieces of content, exceeded all the engagement benchmarks that we had set out for those creatives. We're optimizing them real time. We would say test, learn, optimize, read the slight variation, but that's the team does. We also take the learnings from each of the brands, let's say our unit dose business or the liquid business or scent booster and even the master brand, and share across what are best practices. We're actually working on the visual identity of the different social pieces to see what we can bring over across the businesses, which is really exciting. From a KPI standpoint, I think I hit on some of the key ones. Talked about TikTok, we hit that moment, and some of the share expansion. So I think it's been really strong. We're seeing nice lifts in the brand, and we have even more results forthcoming. Oh, and the other thing was that TikTok liked the campaign so much that they actually funded for us to expand our influencer holding and to create content with new influencers. So that was really exciting too.
Great. For Hero, this was obviously our first campaign, so there were a lot of hopes, dreams, and nervousness, if you will, going into it, because we knew that it was our time to make an impact, and competition was heating up, and we had some big distribution expansion on the horizon. So in terms of a time frame, we had to move quickly. This really worked by, we had to, it was new for us to be a part of Church Dwight too. So we went from a really small team to having to incorporate more voices into the conversation, which were truly helpful, but it was a new process, right? So we had to figure out how all that worked together while sort of getting it out the door as quickly as possible. So it went from concept to execution in 3 months. We actually met our timeline, which, I mean, if you've worked in lots of small companies before, sometimes you could miss and it's all right. This one, like, we gotta go. Like, we have products showing up on the door, on the shelf. So we got it done, which was amazing. And then the team has taken this incredible idea and have really started to weave it across other parts of our marketing funnel, which is really incredibly exciting to see all that work come to life. From a results standpoint, so like I said, so the first time we did our campaigns, we wanted to test it, but we didn't have time to test it first and then optimize and launch. So we're gonna launch it and test it at the same time. And so that was a fun process. We worked with Nielsen Neuro, and we got some really incredible learnings right out of the gate. That we kind of nailed the idea on the head, and it was working. And it is connecting with consumers. It's doing what we needed to do for the brand. It's doing what we need to do for the master brand of Hero. In addition to helping just help spread the word about pimple patches and what the Mighty Patch can do. So all those things are really exciting. We have some great learnings in terms of how we're going to optimize the campaign in the future. We've also done a lot of work on learning from the media itself and where we're placing it and how its impact on sales. So that was really exciting for us, coming from that very digital-focused e-com sort of world where you can easily see the impact of your results. But the way that we planned our media, we were able to see results tied to retailer performance. So we were able to see lifts 11 to 18% at retail, which is really exciting, and that's just a few weeks in. So we're very excited to see where this campaign goes.
Sounds like she's taking her number up. You're
gonna
help us out.
The numbers big. Very, very high ambition, hence why I'm asking for more money. But so we have the early learnings and the early nuggets, and we're really excited to see where all of this goes.
Cool, and I guess just, throughout that process, from a, like you said, a digitally savvy brand, when you come into a big organization like this, are you bringing with you partners, or are you adapting to the partners that are already on board here to help you bring something like that to life?
I'd say it's a little bit of both. There are some partners that we have within our organization that have brought some interesting things and interesting conversations to this team, and vice versa, because now there's this much larger group of partners that we've been able to tap into, who've been able to help us unlock value and unlock learning. So it's been a really nice, I think, mutual partnership between us about the partners. So it's been really nice.
Cool, and
You
for
know,
Arm & Hammer?
Yeah, I was gonna say, that was so interesting, again, I can't believe how much, so many similarities exist between our two brands. And so, similar to 3 months, we say from napkin sketch to national launch in 3 months for the Give It the Hammer campaign. And within a month out, we were heading to Sweden for a whole shoot for the whole campaign. That's how quickly, as Melissa mentioned, that we moved, and Barry supported us on that to go throughout. What we did was within, like, literally a week before we were about to do that shoot, we needed to get quick research. Barry's like, well, what are we gonna do to make sure which campaign's the right one? So we went with a company, Remesh, we got 200 consumers in 1 week, qualitative and quantitative results, and we had a clear winner with Give It the Hammer, and that's what we went after. Again, fact-based, database decision-making is very big in our company, I'm sure in many of yours, and so that's how we moved a little quicker through that process, where we normally do neuro for our testing.
Cool. And then just to shift gears a little bit, I guess when it comes to measurement and successfully reaching consumers, how does Arm & Hammer and then Hero approach inclusivity and diversity to cater to the wide range of consumer needs that seem to be constantly changing along with their preferences?
Well, that was a loaded question. A couple things there I picked up on, the diversity and inclusion. So again, as Laurie mentioned, you hopefully saw in the spot here, we really are trying to reflect our consumers in everything that we do, right? We have a really well-mixed consumer base on Arm & Hammer, so we're showing up to making sure that people can see themselves, right? They can see these communication tactics and say, this is a brand for me because I'm represented well in this storyline. So we do that there, and again, I would say too, with our media partners and the placement of our ads, really, that also supports kind of an inclusion type messaging. I don't know what else was in that question there, it was pretty long.
Yeah, I mean,
Anything else?
I think you got it.
Okay.
Similar situation here. Like, we strive very hard to make sure that people see themselves in the work that we are creating. And that comes in a lot of different forms. One of the things that I think has helped Hero make such a splash, if you will, in the acne care space, is if you think historically about acne, if you go back in the Wayback Machine to when you were younger, people historically have framed acne as a teenage issue. The reality is, surprise, it's not. Acne can be with you for a long time, because I admit, I still get the occasional pimple. No one told me that was gonna happen. But that's one of the things that we've done a little bit differently, is we really are trying to reflect the people who are having acne issues or who are dealing with this today. That is what has allowed us to open up to a wider audience. We are speaking to people who have never been spoken to before about their skincare issues. You'll see within the creative that we use, we do have slightly older models. We're not showing teenagers. We do have teenagers in a lot of our creative, but that's not the predominantly person that you're going to see. The other thing that's really different as well is we show true skin. Again, think back to the old ads. Like, everyone like, oh, I use my whatever product and now everything is perfect. That's not reality. You're not gonna cure acne overnight. It doesn't work that way. And that's what we really strive to do, is we can help you with your pimples. We can help you get through it faster. You at least have some tools in your arsenal that you can use. We're not promising you're gonna make your skin clear overnight. And we really try and reflect that in our creative. So you're gonna see people with real skin, with real texture that's there. You're gonna see a real range of skin tones that we're reflecting, because we do, like I said earlier, you want people to be able to see themselves in the work that you're doing. And it is just so critical for brands today, regardless of what stage you're in, to show up with that thinking in mind.
For sure, and does that trickle down at all to your social and influencer strategies? I imagine it would.
Absolutely everything,
Yeah.
everything.
Cool, and are there any other, consumer insights, data that you're leveraging to inform those social and influencer strategies?
For us, we're constantly listening. We're reading all of the comments, all the reviews. We do a lot of surveys. We do a lot of surveys using platforms like Qualtrics, like Ask Suzy, constantly talking to consumers out there, finding out what's working on the products, what's not. But we come together as a group, as a marketing group every Tuesday morning. We talk about things that are out there, what we're hearing. Customer service is a part of those conversations. And we'll talk about what's bubbling up. And that will often inform the work that we then go do on social media, the content that we're going to create, the campaigns that we set up for influencers. A lot of that is coming from what we're hearing our consumers say, what we're hearing in culture around us, what the team is seeing, anything that we can do that's going to be relevant, that's going to demonstrate that we're listening, but also help consumers. If they need some education about a product or they don't know how to use it or where it fits into their routine, we hear that, and then we create content to help answer those so that people feel more comfortable and pursuing them.
Amazing. And I guess for Arm & Hammer, similarly, I guess for your influencer and social strategy, but also, I guess, how do you use the influencer and social strategy for such a, long-standing 170-year-old brand differently or similarly?
Yeah, keep it fresh. It's number one. So we do ask the team to, every quarter to have some fresh perspective, and again, be multiple things within a quarter. And we do utilize, let's say, our Scent Booster brand will test something out, worked really well. We'll try a new idea with influencers or campaign ideas. If it works well, we'll optimize, bring it to Unidose and so on, and to liquid. But we'll move quickly with that. I wanted to also talk about bringing in the younger consumer. One of the things we saw coming out of COVID was that, again, doing some more research there, 58% of significant others in a household, those who are running a household, actually were seeking help from the kids, teens, / significant other to help out with the laundry responsibilities. And so we really seized on that moment, and we called this dual usage strategy, and we found that actually they actually had the highest yield of lifetime value. And so in our strategy, we actually built teens into our communication strategy with Unidose and with liquid detergent as well as Scent Booster to really bring the full household in, significant others always represented in the household. And it's really taken off. We've been a really great strategy. So again, listening to the research, looking at what it's saying, taking action has been something that's been a multi-year strategy, and we're seeing more and more of gaining those dual usage consumers incrementally into our franchise.
Absolutely. And then just shifting gears a little bit, I guess from a sustainability perspective, obviously I'm sure it's super important for both brands. How do you balance sustainability goals with the consumer demands?
So excited about this one. So we had a 3-year initiative to go through concentration of our liquid detergent. I think it was mentioned, it's the biggest business in the building, Arm & Hammer Liquid. We have a lot of units, and in many retailers, we're the #1 selling unit seller in a given retailer, and sometimes in the market, in given time periods as well. So this 3-year initiative, we did it through 2 rounds of concentration. All 3 years. A lot of gray hairs started appearing, popping up during that time. But the team really came together. Again, scrappy underdog mentality. We can do this. This makes a difference. And in fact, we have an ambition that will state outwardly, which is that by 2024, we will save 118,000 tons of water through these 2 rounds of concentration, going up to 30%. Yeah, it's exciting. And also 7 million pounds of plastic saved in the environment. So it actually makes me a little emotional. It really is important, right? And so I think that, I think we all share the importance of sustainability in this business. I think from e-commerce, we're always looking at our Scent Booster business. We have frustration-free packaging, so we're continuing to push that, as well as on Unidose. It is 80% concentrated, so that's a great thing to ship in the marketplace. The team builds upon that. And many other areas that we look to, like PCR improvement against our businesses.
So sustainability is also very important to Hero and the Hero team. Fun little fact, a box of Mighty Patch sells every 2 seconds. That is a lot of paper that we use for all those boxes and the cartons, et cetera, et cetera. So one big thing that we rolled out, I think about 2 years ago now, is we transitioned all of our paper to FSC paper. So making a really big difference on that front, which we're really proud of. The other thing that we have done is we are a carbon neutral business. We have offset our carbon, which we're really proud of. We do that in partnership with the Carbon Fund, and that's something we continue to do. And then the team has several initiatives in place where we are actively looking into, particularly PCR. How can we bring more PCR? How can we just bring more sustainable mentality to what it is that we're doing as a business? Again, it's one of the reasons why we're so excited to be here with the team at Church Dwight, because they can help bring that expertise into our business, which we really need. But that is, so sustainability is key to, again, any brand today.
I think any brand in the Church and Dwight portfolio, it's very important. We obviously have made public statements on our aspirations, and so every single brand in the building is working through ways to reduce our carbon footprint. So it's not just a challenge and opportunity for these brands, but everyone is working towards a more sustainable proposition.
For sure. Absolutely. So, I've heard diversity and inclusion, we've heard sustainability. I guess in terms of the brand mission, how do both brands approach the brand mission partnerships and collaboration to maintain that relevance with consumers?
Ooh, so partnerships is something that's a little new to us as a brand. But one of the things that we go back to, like I said, is really, we want to celebrate, actually let me take a step back. Our brand name is Hero, right? And that can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. But one of the things that has been important to us from the very beginning is that we truly believe that the hero is not our products, but it's rather the people we serve. And that's sort of the mentality that we take when we are evaluating anything that it is that we do. How do we really celebrate the person who's using our products? How do we help empower them to feel more comfortable in their skin? And that's sort of the lens that we use when we're looking for partners. We're looking for people who are helping to celebrate who you are on the inside and help that come out more, help you be more comfortable. So whether it's from some of our smaller partnerships that we may have to some of our first big partnership that we did was the New York Liberty, the WNBA. And we did that because we really shared a mentality of celebrating the people who are in our community, celebrating for who they are, and just allowing that to shine through. And that is a bit of the lens that we put on that. This is still a new area for us, so we're really excited for what more we can do. As we talk about, this is a very emotional space. Acne is not just a physical issue, it's an emotional issue, and that's the piece that we really try and focus on.
So for Arm & Hammer, one of our partners is Dress for Success. And so this is an international organization that is there to help serve underprivileged women and getting them prepared to turn their lives around and enter into a professional career. And this is through providing them with wardrobes that gets them set up for interviews, gets them set up to go into a more professional environment. It also provides them with the skill sets that they need to be a bit more successful in the professional environment. Our brand purpose is to help consumers win everyday moments. Basically, that's
Yes.
right, yeah. And we also like to say our mission is to help lighten the load. So you can see how those two statements tie in very well to this partnership with Dress for Success, right? We want to lighten the burden of women who are trying to improve their situations, and Arm & Hammer is there to lend them that helping hand.
For sure, and it's definitely a risky area, right? Because it has to align with the brand mission, or else, you receive a ton of backlash, which we've seen with, a ton of brands. I guess lastly, before we open it up for questions, just looking ahead, for Arm & Hammer, one is a legacy brand. Do you have any future aspirations for innovation to continue to enhance that consumer connection? And then for Hero as well, looking at, it's obviously a digitally savvy brand. What else is out there from an innovation perspective that you guys are looking at?
I wanted to touch on one thing that kind of ties to environmental, the responsibility purpose. So from a pure product innovation, so again, staying relevant to our consumers, tapping into what's on their top of mind. As Laurie mentioned, we just went through a tremendous effort in concentrating all of our liquid laundry detergent. That really wasn't because the consumer asked for concentrated laundry detergent, but they asked for more sustainable propositions, and this is the way in which we could do it. Our unit dose proposition, believe it or not, is also a more sustainable proposition. Our new products team is aggressively pursuing other ways in which we can put out efficacious laundry products that are more sustainable. So stay tuned. We got some big ideas coming your way.
Yeah, I would just add to that is that when we think about our consumer, right, I would say that now more than ever, consumers are feeling disconnected, and we're feeling disconnected, and we're looking to be seen and have a connection. So when we take a look at our innovation, the innovation team is working on, it's about providing more of a sensorial experience wherever we can. Even better efficacy, but always at accessible price points for our different consumer sets. So that we are a very approachable brand that consumers feel they can connect with and be seen, which we help to do with influencers to bring them forward and have them be our hero.
So for Hero, like I said, we're still so young, and we're transitioning from being this digital brand to truly being an omni-channel brand. So one of the things you're really going to see us focus on in the near future is really just being where the consumer wants us to be. So physical availability is very important to us. So we're doing a lot of expansion across the retailer environment here in the States. We're going into other places. So you'll see more to come as we take Hero around the world. Some exciting stuff to come on the brand on that front. So that's been a really big focus for us today. That doesn't mean that we take our eyes off of innovation. We're constantly looking, listening to find how can we help people along their journey. What needs are not being met that we can deliver with products from Hero that deliver on all the things that we like to do, right? We want to be effective, we want to be fast, we want to be affordable. So that's really the lens that we put on a lot of our stuff, and it has to have that magic to it too, right? That thing that you just look at it and go, I've got to have it. Hero does a really great job of that, and we want to continue to create that, whether seeing it on the shelf and getting you to pull it off, or just just that desire to go seek out our products and try more from us.
Amazing. Well, I think this was a great conversation. Obviously, a really cool dynamic between a brand that's technically a baby and one that's 170 years old. There's a lot of I guess similarities in terms of the way you guys are activating and bringing things to life in this ever-evolving digital world that we live in. We have a few minutes left if anyone wants to ask any questions.
Got time for one. Lady in the blue and white shirt.
Thanks. Oh, the pressure's on now. It's gonna be a good one. Hi. Knowing you have so many brands under your portfolio here at Church Dwight, how much is synergistic between your sharing with what Arm & Hammer's doing, what Hero's doing, what Zycam's doing, what Waterpick's doing, versus you're kind of seeing what each one does? Like, how much overlap is there, or is it all pretty? They're different type of brands, but I guess how do you take your learnings and apply them to
So I'll be honest, we could do better, right? But we do have forums where the marketers are sharing their successes. Like once a quarter, we have what we call Marketing Town Hall, where we share successes and key learnings, right? And so that's a great opportunity for us. And then there's a lot of informal sharing and cross-learning that goes on. And now with our synergy team, all right, our internal kind of agency department, they're helping share learnings. Our digital team is helping to share learnings. So, I would also say this honestly, with COVID and remote working, that's kind of hindered the collaboration, but we're all working towards creating better systems to try to encourage more. Because you're right, we have a lot of brands, their go-to-market strategies really vary, so there's great internal learning that we need to leverage.
Holy moly. That was a fantastic panel and just adds to the pride of place of being here. And I love that, emotion is huge. So we all felt the emotion that you have behind your brand marketing as well. So thank you so much, Brad. Excellent interviewing. Thank you, Laurie. Little